Number 9. Patricia EBEL. Florida woman Patricia EBEL crashed her BMW into a vehicle that was stopped at an intersection in Naples in April of 2015. There were multiple aspects of the incident that caused footage of it to go viral in the aftermath. Perhaps most notably, a video captured at the scene showed that the suspect was wearing only a bikini while she was being put through a series of field sobriety tests by law enforcement officers. Social media users also reacted to the fact that the accident had occurred while EBEL's grandson was in the car with her. The woman's scantily clad appearance and her grandchild's presence in her vehicle were explained when it emerged that they'd been driving home after spending the day at the pool at the time of the collision. Upon failing the field tests, EBEL was taken into police custody and charged with 3 DUI-related offenses, which included driving with a blood alcohol content of 0.15 or greater while having a minor in the car. She was consequently given probation, which prohibited her from consuming alcohol for 1 year. The following January, it was reported that EBEL had been arrested for a second time after her probation officer had measured her blood alcohol level as 0.177, which is more than twice the legal driving limit. She was subsequently booked into the Collier County Jail and held without bond. Number 8. Brenda Fox. On January the 22nd of 2017, in the afternoon, a police officer was dispatched to the Commons Mall in Columbus, Indiana, in response to a call about an unsupervised toddler. Upon his arrival, the officer reportedly spoke to a woman who'd spotted a 2-year-old boy by himself on the mall's playground. The witness reported that the child had what appeared to be human excrement on his hands, which she and another bystander cleaned while awaiting the police. The Good Samaritan had also reportedly attempted to locate the boy's parent or guardian at the playground, but none could be found, at which point she contacted law enforcement. The toddler was subsequently taken to the Columbus police station, where he was looked after by caseworkers from the Department of Child Services. A short time later, 51-year-old Brenda Fox went to the station to inquire about her grandson, subsequently identified as the boy who'd been found at the mall. Fox claimed that she hadn't seen the police arrive at the playground, nor had she been approached about the boy by any bystanders. Officers at the station noted that Fox appeared to be under the influence of narcotics, and she was consequently arrested and booked into the Bartholomew County Jail on a charge of neglect of a dependent. Her grandson was later released to the custody of his parents. Number 7. Paul Riley. At around 9 p.m. on July the 23rd of 2019, deputies of the West Monroe Police Department in Louisiana responded to reports of a shooting in the 300 block of Ludwig Avenue. The victim, who wasn't named in subsequent reports, told the officers that he'd been shot by a man named Paul following an escalating argument. An eyewitness verified the victim's claims and also informed the police that the alleged shooter resided nearby. When deputies arrived at the respective address, they encountered 21-year-old Daquan Menefee. A police report indicated that officers found a gun in Menefee's possession that had been previously reported as stolen, an aspect that investigators learned after checking with the National Crime Information Center. Menefee claimed that his grandfather, who was identified as Paul Riley, had given him the firearm after he'd used it in the shooting to which the police had originally responded. Both Menefee and Riley were subsequently taken into custody, with the latter facing charges of possession of a stolen firearm, obstruction of justice, and attempted second-degree murder. Number 6. Edward Williams. In May of 2020, it was reported that police in Post Falls, Idaho, had received a call about a young child being allowed to drive a car on the roadway. When officers pulled over the vehicle in question, which had also reportedly been seen swerving onto the sidewalk and nearly hitting parked cars, they watched as the driver picked a young girl up off his lap and placed her on the seat next to him. When questioned by the police as to why he had allowed his 10-year-old granddaughter to operate a moving vehicle, the man, identified as Edward Williams, claimed that he was trying to be a good grandpa. It also emerged that Williams had an active warrant out for his arrest, which stemmed from an incident in Washington in which he'd allegedly escaped from community custody. He was thereupon arrested and charged with 2 counts of injury to children and fugitive from justice. Williams's grandchildren were reportedly picked up from the scene of the traffic stop by their mother. Number 5. Marie Pierre. Florida mother Julie Belliard left her 5 children in the care of their grandmother on September the 20th of 2019. When the grandmother, 55-year-old Marie Pierre, went to pick up Belliard later that day, she reportedly left the children aged 3 to 9 alone at her residence. While Pierre was gone, Belliard's 4-year-old daughter grabbed a kitchen knife and threw it at the television set. The blade reportedly bounced off the TV before hurtling towards the girl's 9-year-old brother and hit in the back of his head. One of the other siblings saw the boy bleeding and attempted to get in contact with either Belliard or Pierre, but neither of them answered the phone. The boy subsequently tried to call the police but accidentally dialed 991 instead of 911. He then ran outside and solicited the help of a neighbor, who promptly contacted the authorities. Officers arrived at the scene and the boy who'd been accidentally stabbed was airlifted to a hospital with what were described as non-life-threatening injuries. During the ensuing investigation, it emerged that the 5 children were unwashed, unkempt, and had several bug bites on their legs. The conditions in which they'd been living were described as deplorable, and they were consequently removed from the home by the Florida Department of Children and Families. Belliard and Pierre were both arrested and charged with child neglect. Number 4. Limom Cheeks. Tennessee woman Limom Cheeks was arrested in June of 2018 after a video of her releasing 2 children from pet kennels surfaced online. The 62-year-old reportedly confessed to Memphis police that she'd driven approximately 30 minutes from Whitehaven to Collierville with her 2 grandchildren locked in dog cages in the back of her vehicle. According to an arrest affidavit, the children claimed that there wasn't enough space for them in the back seat, so Cheeks told them to climb inside the cages for the remainder of the ride. The grandchildren would later tell officers that they'd felt uncomfortably hot in the kennels, as temperatures in the area had risen to 95 degrees Fahrenheit on that day. The video of Cheeks taking the children out of the cages, which was recorded by a concerned passerby who subsequently contacted the police, went viral on social media in the incident's aftermath. The shocking nature of the footage resulted in the story being covered by several international news outlets. Cheeks was charged with 2 counts of child endangerment, but ultimately pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of violation of child restraint and was sentenced to a day in jail. Number 3. Claudia Patterson. On the night of June the 27th of 2021, police in Memphis, Tennessee, pulled over a truck that had been driving recklessly through traffic. Upon noticing the patrol car's lights flashing behind her, the driver, Claudia Patterson, allegedly mounted a curb before eventually coming to a complete stop and exiting her vehicle. The officers at the scene noted in the ensuing police report that the 51-year-old smelled strongly of alcohol, and they also found an open liquor bottle inside her truck. Furthermore, they reportedly came upon Patterson's 2-year-old grandson, who was unrestrained in his car seat. When asked for her driver's license, the woman was unable to provide it, as it had previously been suspended and revoked due to several other DUI arrests. Patterson was reportedly listed as a habitual revoked offender in the police's database. She was consequently taken into custody once again and charged with multiple offenses, including child abuse and neglect, driving under the influence, and driving with a revoked license. Today's topic was requested by BC Vids 9, Klotzy 0586 and Lizzie 7991. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Billy Lovell Gibson. Following a disagreement with his aunt, a 7-year-old Louisiana boy retrieved a .22 lever-action shotgun from a locked gun safe at his Minden residence and shot her on August the 18th of 2017. When officers arrived at the scene, the child's grandfather, Billy Lovell Gibson, reportedly told them that the shooting was an accident, a version of events which the victim, who'd sustained non-fatal injuries, corroborated. The following week, however, Gibson was taken into custody by Webster Parish Police on suspicion of giving false information to investigators. The 79-year-old was consequently charged with felony contributing to the delinquency of a juvenile. The police determined that the shooting wasn't an accident, as Gibson had initially claimed. The boy had reloaded the gun 3 times, firing a total of 4 rounds in his aunt's direction, according to the findings of the investigation. Gibson's perceived responsibility for his grandson's actions stemmed from the fact that he'd made no effort to put the weapons in his home out the boy's reach. It was a concerning decision, particularly since the youngster had documented anger management issues and a reported habit of shooting things on the property, including the family's vehicles. Although the child's age precluded him from being held criminally responsible, he was referred to the state's social services in the wake of the incident. Number 1. EVELYN Miller. On February the 15th of 2020, police officers descended on a hotel in Bogalusa, Louisiana, where Evelyn Miller was hiding out with her granddaughter. The 66-year-old woman was taken into custody and booked into the Jefferson Parish Correctional Center in Gretna. The day prior to the arrest, authorities had issued a Level 2 child endangerment alert after Miller had kidnapped her 12-year-old granddaughter, Adriana, from Oshner Medical Center in Old Jefferson, where the girl had been receiving undisclosed medical treatment. It later emerged that Miller had taken exception to the doctor's decisions regarding her granddaughter's care, and she subsequently attempted to take Adriana away from the hospital. When she was confronted by nurses, Miller allegedly brandished a handgun and pushed at least one hospital employee to the ground in the course of making her escape. While driving away from the hospital, Miller also attempted to run over security guards who pursued her into the parking lot. Upon her arrest, the grandmother was charged with several felony offenses, including kidnapping and aggravated assault with a firearm. Adriana was reportedly found to have been unharmed during the course of the incident, while her mother was also arrested and charged with being an accessory to her daughter's kidnapping. Thanks for watching. Would you rather tell your grandparents your darkest secret, or tell a classroom of preschoolers that Santa isn't real? Let us know in the comments section below.